Oh, there's that music again that I really like. And welcome again to the Educated Retirement Radio. And remember again, www.drheckham.com or theeducatedretirementradio.com. And our guest today, like I said, I talked, Thomas is here with us now. But Tom, I gave a few items about your history at the beginning of the show. And just a quick review before we introduce Tom. He is an economist, an author, a retirement expert. I mean, we talk a lot about retirement, but being retired or trying to be retired does not make you an expert. He is an incredibly popular industry speaker for many years and is considered by many to be the retirement income expert, which is why we're together. So Tom specializes in creating simple and powerful retirement solutions, and he's been featured in Business, Forbes, Money Rates, and many other leading publications. And now with us. That's kind of, I'm kidding. But like I said, it's a birthday, so for me. So, so just blowing my own horn because of that. But we are very happy and privileged to have Tom with us today. Tom's also written several books, and we're going to let him kind of take over the reins, and we'll talk about anything that he finds is important for all of us today. So please go ahead, Tom.
Hey, thank you, Jay, and happy birthday. Thanks
Boy,
for having
thank
me.
you. Thank you. That means a lot. It does. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, people are worried because the market's going crazy and this coronavirus, we're all in our own houses. But what's interesting about that is I've been talking about this for years, and a lot of times, sometimes people don't listen because the market was going up and up and up. And I said, you got to put guarantees in that portfolio. You gotta, if there's ever been a time in your life when you want to put some protection on your portfolio, it's now. And people don't do it, and then all of a sudden the market crashes, and then they panic. And so I just think if people followed a very basic set of principles, they wouldn't worry when the market goes down like this. Markets go down all the time, and we'll get through this in the long term. But every retiree should have some guarantees in that portfolio.
Correct. Absolutely. So, they do usually always come up. Home values always seem to come back. The stock market always seems to. I mean, I'm so old. I remember when going down 500 points in one day was the end of the world.
Right. That was 1987, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So, I mean, and I lived through that. And this one seems a little different than some of them. I mean, there is such an absolute reason. I mean, you can point to an absolute reason for this. And it's incredibly, I think it's expected because people are not going to be doing the same kind of commerce they once were, but they will again.
Yeah. And so there's my PBS TV special, Don't Worry, Retire Happy, had 7 very simple steps that everybody could follow to have a happy and successful retirement. So maybe I just kind of breeze through those and share them with you. So
and
step
you can
number
go over
one,
your books too,
Yeah. Step number 1, they got to have a plan. How can you get anywhere if you don't have a roadmap or a plan of how to get there? And with that, I say you've got to work with a financial professional. Retirement is not a do-it-yourself project. I use a financial professional, and I'm an expert at this, but you know what I'm not an expert at? Which policy with which company or which annuity with which company is the best one for me at the time? You know how fast these products change.
I think also you try to give yourself advice. It's a little different.
Yeah.
You're always looking at it a little differently than when you look at somebody else.
Yeah, and you got to look at the overall plan. So that's step number 1. Step number 2, you want to maximize your Social Security benefit. So I could do a whole show on that, but in general, the breadwinner should delay. So if you have a husband or wife, if the husband made more money than the wife, the husband's the one that should delay because his Social Security covers both lives. Step number 3, people should consider a hybrid retirement, which means maybe working an extra year or 2. And I think now a lot of people are going to have to do that versus choosing to do that. But that can help a retirement significantly. You've got to have a plan to protect yourself against inflation because you don't just want income for the rest of your life. You really need to have increasing income for the rest of your life. There's ways to do that with, stocks or real estate, or you can do what I've done, which is I buy some income that starts at age 60, some that starts at 62, some that starts at 65 and 70. So I'm guaranteed to have increasing income for the rest of my life, no matter how long I live. Step number 5 is critical. You've got to have some guaranteed lifetime income. And what the experts say, and retirement's been studied by PhDs all over the world, the experts say you need at least enough guaranteed lifetime income to cover your basic living expenses. I call that the paycheck. Your housing, your food, your clothing, your internet, whatever your normal expenses are, that should be covered with guaranteed lifetime income. And there are really 3 sources: Social Security, which is a lifetime income annuity. It's a guaranteed paycheck for life. Pension, which is a lifetime income annuity. It's a guaranteed paycheck for life. And then whatever you're short, you need to go find an insurance company and buy some form of income annuity that will help you cover those basic living expenses. Now, again, I've done a little extra than that. I don't just want my paycheck guaranteed. I want some paychecks guaranteed.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I own 11 annuities, and I think it's important for your audience to know that I don't sell any financial products. So I don't care if they buy annuities or not.
No, your product is education and security, basically, right?
Yeah, and happiness and living longer, because what the research shows is that if you have enough guaranteed income to at least cover your basic living expenses, you don't have the stress level. The people who have that, they're not worried right now. They're just watching TV, they're doing their thing. And people who have less stress tend to live longer. Step number 6 is they need to have a plan for long-term care. And I say any plan is better than no plan. But long-term care is the one thing most people forget about that can wipe out their entire life's work. Yeah. And then step number 7 is to use your home equity wisely. And in the book, I go into some ways to do that. And then I wrap it up with the most efficient way to pass wealth to children, grandchildren, and charities is with life insurance. And that surprises a lot of people. But if you think about it, most retirees want to leave something to their kids. Even if they don't admit it, they do it. In the back of their mind, they think they got to leave their kids some money. And so they live a diminished retirement because they want to leave some money to their kids. And I always tell people, don't leave any money to your kids. Spend all your money. Leave them life insurance, because you can do that for pennies on the dollar. So if they would buy life insurance, go to the kids, they can then spend all the rest of their money and be happy and live a long life.
Right. And, I do, and this show is not about reverse mortgages, so we're not, but what I say is I do those, so I get to see a lot of relationships between parents and children. And the parents are the ones that want to protect the kids. I do not have much blowback from children. They want their parents to spend their own money. They want their parents to live well. They're not looking for their parents to give them everything. Right. So that's kind of a misnomer out there in the industry. But yes, it would be great to be able to give your children a legacy, but do it the right way without, cutting your own throat.
Yeah. So I'll use me as an example. We got 4 kids. So one day we're sitting around saying, hey, how much we leave the kids? My wife said, I don't know. What do you think? I said, well, if we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy, named the 4 kids a beneficiary, we're both gone, they'll get $1 million tax free. I mean, that's $250,000 a piece tax free. Let's start there. So we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy. You know what the total cost of that policy was? $150,000. So now think about that. For 15 cents on the dollar, we transfer $1 million tax free to our kids. Now, who gets to spend all the rest of the money? We do. So we're
right now. Was that a one-time? Is that a one-time payment?
Yeah. Well, it was 5 years.
Yeah, you can do it either way,
but it's paid up now, and so I mean, to me, that's the way to do it. And then we get to spend all the rest of our money.
And that is a good thing. And you have to have that strategy. Now, I get a little confused because between, you said those things that you have to have and those things you don't have. I usually put things like vinyl record albums and cigars into the must-have, but I need to be whipped once in a while, No,
but I mean, for some people, it's their green fees because they want to play golf or their golf membership.
Oh, that's true.
For some people, they say, well, I don't have a mortgage, so they put their yacht fees or boat docking fees or whatever. And so it's whatever you need to live your happy lifestyle in retirement. What's your normal expenses? That should all be covered with guaranteed income. That money should not be in the stock market. And you see why now, because of all these, And here's what people don't understand is that when the market falls, if you are taking money out of a portfolio, The more the market falls, you got to take out more and more and more. And when the market goes back up, none of that grows back because you took it out and spent it. And then if the
Right.
market goes down, you got to take out more and more and more. And that's called sequence of returns risk. And
Right.
it can wipe out a portfolio, and people just don't understand it.
I've had some other guests on, like, I don't know if you know Phil Walker, but he says that if you're retired, you are still in business. You're self-employed now, and your business is your retirement.
Yeah.
So I kind of look at those dollars you have in your retirement account as your employees. If they leave, you're not going to get them back. If you take more out because you have to, you pay more taxes, obviously, but almost more importantly, those dollars are not there still working for you, making you more money for your future.
That's right.
So,
And you know, when you're working, you want a salary. You want to know what your income is. You don't want to have your variable pay. What if your employer paid you every week based on what the market did? Some weeks you get little to nothing. Some weeks you get a bonus. You can't live a life like that, and you aren't going to be able to live retirement like that. And there's no PhD who studied retirement that says you should put all of your money in the stock market. That is ridiculous. You should have a portion of your money at least in some guaranteed income. Oh, and Roger Ibbotson did a study. Ibbotson is a famous guy, PhD, and he studied fixed index annuities against bonds. And he found that fixed index annuities had outperformed bonds for the last 40 years and are likely to outperform for the next 40 years. So I tell people, even if you don't believe me to move some of your equities into annuities, at least move your bonds into annuities.
yeah, because people always think, well, I should have a certain percentage of bonds because it's safer, even though there's less of a return. Well, with the insurance product, it's safe, probably
Right.
safer.
And it has no standard deviation.
Right.
You know, bonds are considered safe, but if you see how volatile they've been just in the last 2 weeks, bonds have gone up 30 and 40% in a day. That's unheard of. Bonds are not supposed to do that.
Right. I mean, the last time I bought bonds, I had bonds, I think it was when my grandmother gave me some war bonds. You were probably too young. You probably weren't born then, but you know.
Oh, I've had savings bonds when I was in the Army. You know, we bought savings bonds, and here's a cute story about that. So I bought all these savings bonds through my payroll in the Army. I had bond that thick,
wow.
like 4 inches thick of savings bonds. Well, then I got to be a financial professional. Well, savings bonds are boring. You got to be in mutual funds. So then I started investing their college money in mutual funds. Well, guess what? The market crashed just when 2 of my kids are going through college. You know, put those 2 kids through college? Those stupid savings bonds.
Yeah.
Because when you need the money, whether it's college or retirement, and the market's down, what are you going to do? Take your money out at 50% less than what you put in? No. So you take it out of safe sources, and then I could let the other stuff grow back. It's the same with retirement. You've got to have some safe money in retirement.
You have to have strategy. That's it. You have to, yeah. And so many people in the past, my age, which is ancient, you know, they may have thought about their kids' education in their retirement funds, but you know, when I went to school, Cal State Fullerton, it was $700 a semester, not a class, not a unit. The other thing that financial plans usually don't address at all is long-term care.
Right.
But we live longer. I think, you know, you might check that. I don't know for sure, but I've been told that the fastest growing group of people in this country are the 100-year-olds, followed by the 85-year-olds.
That is correct. And what people don't understand is that when you live longer, almost everybody, once they get in their 90s, is going to need some form of long-term care, even if it's just daycare or some assistance. Yeah. They need some assistance once. And my parents need it in their 80s. Some people need it even younger than that. And so it's the one thing. It's so expensive. And I say this: any plan is better than no plan. So there's several things they can do. Number one, they can buy a long-term care insurance policy. Number two, they can buy a life insurance policy that has a long-term care benefit to it. That way, if they don't need it, they still can have that money as emergency money, or can go to their kids.
Especially if you're older like me. You can see my picture. I can't, which is a good thing. But, you know, there's no way I'm going to be able to buy long-term care insurance. When I was young, who cared, you know? And I'm afraid too many people have that attitude. But now that I'm like I am, it's screaming in my ear, you know?
Yeah, and the third thing is if you can't qualify medically for life insurance or annuity or long-term care, you can buy an annuity that has a long-term care benefit, and that they don't even ask any medical questions.
Because you're going to get that money anyway, one way or
Yeah,
the other.
yeah, but they might
Right.
limit those benefits for the first year or two, but that's something to look at. And again, any plan is better than no plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no people. I mean, people just don't think about that long-term strategy enough. Some do. I certainly do. I just started 70 years too late. That's all, and I don't want to see other people make the same mistake.
Right.
But I thought I was. I had lots of those employees. That is a lot of money at one time, and that black swan came sailing over. So you never ever know what the future is going to bring you, and being prepared and being flexible, and of course having the right mental attitude, all of those kind of things are connected too. Like you said, without the stress, your mental attitude can handle a lot more.
That's great. And here's another thing that people don't realize. When markets go down, they can stay down for a long period of time. Do you know that the
Hmm.
Japanese stock market has been
Yeah.
down for over 30 years. The
Yeah.
European stock market has been down for over 20 years. People have no idea. They think, oh, well, this thing will just bounce back. It might, but it might not. And what would happen to your retirement if the market stays down for 20 or 30 years? And that's why people need to have some guaranteed lifetime income. So those paychecks just keep coming in no matter what, as
Right.
long as you're alive, and you're going to be happier, and you're going to be stress
Yeah.
free, and you're going to live longer.
But one thing I find when I talk to a lot of my clients is they say, I didn't make enough money for a financial planner. And yeah, there are some companies out there that won't talk to me unless I have $500,000 to invest. But that's not always the case. That is not the majority of the case. And you never know. Somebody could take on a small client and that client becomes huge. So I think financial planners are very open to talking to most of our listeners.
Yeah, when I was a financial advisor, I would drive anywhere to talk to anyone because I was brand new at the time. But
Yeah.
you know what I learned is they'd hand out leads for zip codes because people bought new houses, and we go out and talk to them about a homeowners or mortgage protection, and then we'd talk to them about their investments. And there were some zip codes the other advisors didn't want because they were lower income zip codes. I
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
give them to me, give them to me. And I went
Yeah.
out there and I saw people who lived in very modest homes and they were millionaires. And I saw people who lived in modest homes, they had modest incomes, but you know what? One of their parents died, or they won I had 3 lottery winners while I was a financial advisor.
Yeah.
And because I treated them nice when they didn't have much, guess who they
Right.
called when they got a lot? They called me because they knew I would do the right thing for them. And
Right.
so
Right.
there are financial professionals out there who will work with anybody if they need
Right.
it.
And I always talk about, and I did borrow this concept from Ron Siegel, but everybody should have a household board of directors. So if you need to, interview a few financial planners, do so, but have one. You need one. You need, no matter how smart you think you are, you don't know everything. I don't know, nobody does. And you have to have another opinion too, a better opinion, which to me would always be a better opinion. But whether you think it's better or not, you have to have another opinion.
Yeah, and look at me. I've written 5 books on retirement. I'm considered one of the top retirement experts in the world, and I use a couple different financial professionals just to bounce ideas off. And
Right.
they know specific products that I'm not sitting there watching every specific product. I know
Uh-huh.
what I need to do. I need how to do it, but I don't know the exact product that would be the best for me at that time. And that's what I need a financial professional for.
You know who first told me about you was Don Graves.
Yeah. Yeah,
And yeah, because
Don's real smart with reverse mortgages. He's one of the
he is,
smartest.
and he's been on my show a couple times, and he talked about you when it comes to some of his books. So
Yeah.
uh, you're way up there in his eyes, and the rest of ours now also.
Yeah, he helped
And
me. He helped me with my chapter 7 of my book on reverse mortgages. He helped me
uh
with, because he's a true expert on that.
yes, he is. He's a great guy too, and he's funny.
Yeah.
He gives a story about about mortgages and how milk is produced, but we'll get into that another time. I can send you the video of that later if you want to see. But tell us a little about your. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say before we get on to your books is, I think staying busy is staying healthy.
Yeah.
I have to work, okay, and I work a lot, but I think, and maybe that's why I'm going so stir crazy, just staying home, because I go see clients everywhere. I love to go to Arizona where you are. I love to go. I'm working with some people right now above Santa Rosa. I didn't see them in person this time, but I have in the past. I just think keeping busy is a wonderful thing. That is not the same as having to work. Not
Right.
at all.
It's really
So,
having a purpose in your life, a reason to get out of bed every day, whether that's working with charity, or if you're working on your golf game or your tennis game, or doing work for pay, or sometimes it's volunteer work, maybe
yeah,
going on a mission trip. But it's having a purpose in your life. And what happens is people who lose their purpose end up dying
lose
many times.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I work many hours. I guess that's why I look so. No, I won't say that because you can see me. But think about what I would look like if I didn't work so hard. That's another stuff. But you want to get into some of your books, perhaps, and then let us know again how we can all get them, of course.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the two that would be most appropriate for your audience, Paychecks and Playchecks. That was my first book, and then
Uh-huh.
Don't Worry, Retire Happy. That was the PBS TV special. You can find any of my books on Amazon, or you can go to my website, tomhegna.com. And if they use the code 15OFF, they can get 15% off anything on my
All
stuff.
right.
Yeah.
I was going to order some more through Amazon, but I think I'll go through you.
Oh yeah, it's cheaper to go through my website, especially if you order in bulk.
Yeah, well, bulk is a good thing for some of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
it
I'm
is.
easy to find. I have a free YouTube channel as well, so people can watch little video clips. They're all 3 to 5 minutes long, and that could help them out as well.
Always, always helps. So I love the name, Paychecks and Playchecks.
Yeah.
So you've sold a lot of those, right?
Oh yeah, they're both in the top 1% of all books. They both have sold over $1 million, and less than 1% of books ever sell $1 million. So
Wow.
they're both considered really, you know,
Wow.
well received books.
And how about your retirement income masters? Is that like a
Yeah,
master's degree in
Yeah, so that's really for financial professionals. Yeah, what I did with that book's very different. I interviewed 16 different financial professionals who specialize in retirement, and each chapter is their story. What did
wow.
they say? What's their words? What's their language? How do they explain these concepts to clients? So it's a very powerful book. There are clients who buy them, but it's really meant for financial advisors.
Well, I think that would be a good book for me and my peers to read so we can better have discussions with financial planners
Yeah.
because financial planners are one of our main in many cases one of our main sources to get to know people
Yep.
for
Absolutely.
this. And then, oh, you have one for Canada too. Huh?
Two for Canada. Yeah, I've got both Paychecks and Playchecks Canadian. That's with the QUES. And then Don't Worry, Retire Happy for Canadians. And really the concepts are similar. It's just they don't have Social Security. They have CPP and OAS, and they don't have
Oh,
401ks. They have RRSP. So we just
little
made
bit of
those
the
Canadian.
language. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not the
little
basic.
changes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
slight changes.
basic language is still English.
Yeah, and they've got products that are called like seg funds that we don't have here. So there are some differences, but the concepts are the same.
Okay, good. Very good. So now, when is your next PBS? Now, you said you're special. I referred to it early as a series, but I knew that it's basically one. What is it, like 2 hours long or so?
Oh, it's about it. Well, it depends on, they break it up into
How
sections,
many
and then they want you
breaks?
to
Yeah,
donate to PBS in between. The actual
yeah.
whole presentation is about an hour, less than an hour, but then they can
Ah,
stretch it to 90 minutes or 2 hours when they're doing their,
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
call now and donate to PBS.
yeah. It's the same. But it does show over and over. So I always look for
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
I
It's
think
pretty much
our
played its
guest too.
pretty much played its run. It played a lot in California. I'm hoping
Hmm.
to do another one at some point. We will see. I see Susie Orman's got one out there now, and I just bite my lip a little when I watch her. But
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
now she's pro annuity, and she always used to be anti annuity, but now she
Yeah,
knows the facts, the math, and the science.
yeah,
Say you got to have an annuity in that portfolio,
yeah.
so she's even come around.
Now she found a niche, which is I'm sure very good for her, and I have nothing bad to say about people I disagree with. But I sometimes think she lives in more of a bubble than you do. I think you realize what everybody could or couldn't go through,
Yeah.
and just find it a lot more valuable for that.
Well, I base my
So
stuff, my advice in math and science. I don't put my opinions in there. This is the research of PhDs all over the world, and that's what I really base my work on.
right, and you do have your own practice, though, correct?
No, no, I don't do
No,
any
not
personal
no. You
production at
said you
all.
didn't sell. I
Yeah, I
took
don't.
that. I took that, and I wasn't sure whether whether we put it together. But if you do have recommendations, probably for people if they want to get a hold of you or on anything, everything, who to get a hold of, or
Yeah,
they
I
can call
really,
me
I
and I can.
really do mainly speaking and writing,
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't do personal consultations
So
except for
those
some advisories.
those things people can look on your website to get caught up on, correct?
Absolutely.
And they can order all your books and all that good stuff
Yep.
right there. So we're running, believe it or not, the time goes too fast.
Yep.
It goes too fast in life, I'll tell you that. And but this half hour goes much too fast also. So do we have any we've got words of wisdom for older people, retirement people, whether they're in retirement or going into retirement, that you really, really should, of course, number one, get those books of Tom's. Make yourself a little more understanding of the choices you have so you can build a strategy. And in order to build a strategy, you've got to have the education. And all of us, I don't care who you are, we need more education. And this is one way to get it. Buy the books from him, look him up there, look him up on public television so you can learn as much as humanly possible. And any other parting words or sentiments for the retirees out there or those getting to become, or even those young whippersnappers that are looking forward to retirement in the future?
Yeah, for young people, I just say, it used to be you could save 10% of your income, you'd be fine. That's not true in a 1% interest rate environment. They really need to try to save
Right.
15 to 20%, give 10% to charity, and then live on the rest and be happy and live a long life. And if you follow those simple steps I shared with you, you will in retirement. You'll have a happy and successful retirement.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So, in parting, we'll say thank you so much for being here, Tom. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it very, very much. And I'll be sending out a video of the thing, which you can resend if you like, and I can cut and paste. And, I'm getting into editing. One more thing: when I get up, when I have coffee, I love to edit.
Very
It's
good.
just a new thing for me. Is if I don't have enough work as is, and work is getting pretty stressful, but I'm trying to keep above water. The secondary markets are getting very jittery in lending these days.
Yep.
And I absolutely understand why not wanting it to happen doesn't help, but I try. I try to put out that signal, mentally to the world that they shouldn't worry about it. And we started the show off with what is showing on um, Elon Musk's dashboard on his Tesla that's going around the sun. He's got the navigation window. It says, "Don't panic," which comes from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So let's hope none of us do panic and have a great year. We'll get through it. It's just got to be different. We have to be able to be flexible, just like we have to be with our finances. Correct?
That's right.
Stay busy. Stay focused. Have some fun because you got to have those play checks too, no matter what.
That's right.
Can't do. I'm told we have 1 minute left, so I really, really want to come back and say thank you so much. Go ahead and give out your website one more time for people who may want to hire you and bring you to their companies, to their meetings. That's what you should be doing. Talk to your, if you're out there listening, talk to the owners of your companies, everybody that wants to put together, your clubs, whatever, want to put together a really great speaker. Go ahead, Tom, and give that information one more time.
Sure. It's tomhegna.com. Very easy to find. And if they use the coupon 15OFF, they can get 15% off anything there.
Sounds good. I'm going to use it. And I really, really want to thank you so much again, okay? And I hope we can stay in contact some ways. Thank you, Sean, so much for engineering. Most of all, thanks everybody out there who is staying at home and going crazy, stir crazy a little. It's okay. We'll get through it. And remember that, well, let me go back to that old joke that, what was, Henny Youngman said, my boss told me to have a good day, so I went home. Yeah, I'm home. And remember, Kaplan will be here on the same corner in front of the cigar store next week. Take care.